stations at that time. So no panic whatsoever, but of course people are still in shock, and many have now entered their offices. They're now working, and perhaps this is the time when they really get to realize what happened to them if they got to survive these two horrifying morning attacks.
Yes, in fact, we're getting news that Alexander Bortnikov, the Federal Security Service chief, says that these Moscow attacks were made by groups related to the North Caucasus. So let's cross to our correspondent Sean Thomas at Park Kultury metro station. What's the situation where you are, Sean? What's happening there?
Well, Kerry, it's very interesting, a very different situation now than it was early this morning. In fact, my flat is just a couple of blocks away from the Park Kultury metro station. Coming into work, there were thousands of people walking, in fact. So it's your first indication that something was wrong. There was no ability to get through on cell phone service, or very limited ability to get through to people on cell phone service. And the metros had stopped. People were walking. No one could get taxis. But there was no panic that you can really feel. Just a lot of somber faces. Concern is a better word for it, but the situation was very orderly. In fact, at that time, an immense police presence. That police presence is still here today, but roads are open, and immediately behind me at the Park Kultury metro station is at a critical junction on the metro system. If you look at it, it's the red line where the attacks took place here at Park Kultury metro station, and also at the Lubyanka station. It's one of the main lines that runs through the center of the city of Moscow. Very important buildings that are on that line. In fact, very close to the red line where these attacks took place are the FSB headquarters, the State Duma, as well as the Kremlin, all along this line as well. So a coordinated attack on this line would be very critical to the city. Now, as we know, just before 8 o'clock this morning at Lubyanka, 24 people killed in that attack. About 40 minutes later here at Park Kultury metro station, 12 people killed in this attack. Of course, dozens more injured at that time. Right now, we are told that while the red line is still closed and will be for a while during the investigation, the brown line, the circle line, which runs around the circumference of the city, kind of the central part of the city, has been reopened at this moment in time. So things are starting to get a little bit back to normal, but not normal, in fact, at this point in time. Now, what we do know is we've received word that these two suspected female suicide bombers, that they believe that they can actually identify them because they have found some of the remains of these bombers in here, specifically at Park Kultury. They've also, the faces of these suicide bombers remains intact. So they believe that they're going to have the ability to identify these attackers shortly. Also, some information about the bomb blast itself. At least at Park Kultury, it's believed that it was a nail bomb. And what that means is that the bomb was devised to have as much shrapnel as possible made up of nails, so that after the explosion, the nails would act as shrapnel, doing as much damage as possible, which explains why some people in neighboring cars or neighboring cars immediately to the tram were killed as well. Also, it's believed that the explosions took place when the doors of the car itself were opening, thus killing people on board the train and also killing people on the platform as well. So that's what we know right now about the explosions. In fact, the state prosecutor's office had this to say about the explosions.
At 7:52, following the train's arrival at Lubyanka station, after passengers left the train and another set of passengers walked in, a blast occurred. Its power was equal to about 2 kilos of TNT. We can assume that the explosive device was attached to the attacker's body. About half an hour later, another blast hit Park Kultury station. Explosive experts are currently investigating the circumstances. The injured people have been evacuated from the scene and are being given treatment. It's not the right time to give the exact figure of fatalities.
Now, it's also interesting, this is not the first time that the Moscow metro system has been attacked, and this is one of the busiest metro systems in the entire world. In fact, it's believed that more than 7 million people ride the Moscow metro system each day, and these attacks were coordinated during the rush hour traffic, as many people were on their way to work. Now, in 2004, very similar circumstances. Also at that time, 40 people were killed, 100 plus people were injured as well in those attacks, and it was also believed at that time that two female suicide bombers were used in those attacks as well. So similar story to what happened in 2004. But again, it's not known at this time exactly if they're connected or not. We've received word that this may be connected to groups related to the Northern Caucasus. Of course, the investigation is ongoing. Now, in terms of here specifically what's happening at Park Kultury, people are walking, traffic is moving, buses, in fact, are moving by me right now. Situation not quite to normal. In fact, there's much more heavy traffic, people still walking more than normal. But this morning was not a sense of chaos. It was more of a sense of trying to figure out the shock of what just happened. We had the ability, Archie, to speak to some eyewitnesses. This is what they had to say.
I think the blast happened in the next carriage. I was deafened by the blast, my head was injured, I was bleeding. I ran out of the carriage and I saw people lying on the platform. Then I got outside.
And of course, the reactions of people around Moscow today, shocked, trying to figure out what's going on. But if you look at the circumstances of how well the police handled the situation and how well the people listened to the police, there's an amazing sense of resilience of the people getting through today and making sure that they can make it through the events of today safely. Kerry?
Okay, RT correspondent Sean Thomas and Yegor Piskunov on the site of both of those blasts, Park Kultury Metro Station and Lubyanka Metro Station. Thank you.